Well, hello Andrew yet again, and today is episode 163, and we're continuing on Jesus being kind of the bit where he's been interrogated by the Sadducees and Pharisees and Herodians, but now actually we see him turning the tables. And so we pick up the narrative. We're in the temple, we're in Holy Week, and we're in Matthew chapter 22 verses 41 to 46. Now, while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them a question. What do you think of the Messiah? Whose son is he? They said to him, the son of David. He said to them, how is it then that David by the Spirit calls him Lord, saying, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet? If David thus calls him Lord, how can he be his son? No one was able to give him an answer, nor from that day did anyone dare ask him any more questions. So we see that it's now Jesus' turn. The shoe is on the other foot. And he's saying to them, let me ask you a question. I was trying to think of an analogy in terms of what's going on here. And I wanted just to talk to you a moment about Charlie Mountbatten. He's actually the Baron of Renfrew. Whose son is he? Is he just the son of Phil and Liz? Or is there more to it? More to him than that? Well, his full title is His Royal Highness Prince Charles Philip Arthur George Prince of Wales, KG, KT, GCB, OM, AK, QSO, CC, PC, ADC, I have no idea what any of them are, Earl of Chester, Duke of Cornwall, Duke of Rothesay, Earl of Carrick, Baron of Renfrew, Lord of the Isles and Prince and Great Steward of Scotland. Impressive, eh? He's a lot more than just Charlie, the Baron of Renfrew. I picked the lowest ranking one there when I mentioned that. And I think there's something in how we described the Messiah. The generally accepted title for the Messiah was Son of David. As we have often seen throughout Matthew's Gospel, that's how he's appealed to by people who were his own people, people in need, desperate people. Even the Syrophoenician woman appealed to him as the son of David. It's a sense of appealing to his messiahship, and often to the dismay of the religious leaders as he's coming into Jerusalem. Hail, Hosanna to the Son of David. And they're not happy. They're not happy because they do not accept his messiahship. But we see here Jesus upping the ante. He's claiming to be more than just the Son of David. He's more than just the Baron of Renfrew. He's a whole lot more than that. There's a lot more to this messiahship than initially appears. Jesus references then Psalm 110, I think that's what it was, where this is spoken by King David, and he says, Yahweh to my Adonai, Adonai of me, says, sit at right hand of me until I make one's being enemy of you footstool for feet of you. That's a kind of literal translation. Now this is a little confusing, and it takes just a little bit of untangling, yet ultimately its meaning is crystal clear. Who, asked Jesus, is the one that David refers to as his Lord? Because David hears God say to David's Lord. This is what it's saying. David hears God say to David's Lord, this is the one who is above David, and David is king, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. It's like David is listening in on a conversation between God, Yahweh, and David's Lord, the one who was higher to David. And the conversation says, God says to his Lord, David's Lord, the higher one, the one between them both, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. So who, asked Jesus, is this one that David refers to as his Lord? So we see these three. God. Next there is the one David addresses as my Lord, the Messiah, and then there is David the King himself. So Jesus asks, if this Messiah, who David refers to as my Lord, is one of David's descendants, what kind of person is he really? Now here's the thing. This psalm is universally accepted as being messianic. It's about the Messiah. This person is recognized as being the long-awaited Messiah. It's referring to this one, the coming one, the anointed one, the one who will put things right. There's no argument about this. All the people who are in Jesus' orbit, all the people who are challenging him, all have a unity of understanding on that. Yet Jesus points out that this Messiah is so more than just David's son. So much more than simply one who stands in royal succession. David calls him my Lord. What is this telling us? We see Jesus' disciple Thomas addressing the risen Christ in the same way.
File converted.
Oh, that's nice. Took a while. Sorry, just another little bit of software running in the background. We see Jesus' disciple Thomas addressing the risen Christ in the same way. He adds to the title, my Lord and my God. It would not be out of order to add these words to what David is saying, and the Pharisees know it. They recognize that Jesus is claiming much more than being the son of David. He's claiming to be the Son of God. At this point, they have no answer. Ultimately, it's this claim that leads to his execution. I imagine that by killing him, they imagine that they have exposed the falseness of his claims without realizing they are ultimately opening opportunity for the crowning proof of it, the resurrection. So, what of today? The question for us is, who is he to you, to me? Is he just another interesting historical figure? Is he one who spoke words of great insight and wisdom, who was ultimately deluded by visions of grandeur and an overinflated sense of his own importance? In the end, we must heed the words of C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity. And I'm going to give a reasonably long quotation because I think he puts it so well. This is at the end of his 3rd chapter. This is Lewis. Then comes the real shock. Among these Jews there suddenly turns up a man who goes about talking as if he was God. He claims to forgive sins. He says he has always existed. He says he is coming to judge the world at the end of time. Now let us get this clear. Among pantheists like the Indians, anyone may say that he was part of God or one with God. There would be nothing very odd about it. But this man, since he was a Jew, could not mean that kind of God. God, in their language, meant the being outside the world, who made it and was infinitely different from anything else. And when you have grasped that, you will see that what this man said was, quite simply, the most shocking thing that has ever been uttered by human lips. One part of the claim tends to slip past us unnoticed because we've heard it so often that we no longer see what it amounts to. I mean, the claim to forgive sins, any sins. Now, unless the speaker is God, this is really so preposterous as to be comic. We can all understand how a man forgives offences against himself. You tread on my toes and I forgive you. You steal my money and I forgive you. But what should we make of a man himself unrobed and untrodden on, who announced that he forgave you for treading on other men's toes and stealing others' money. Asinine fatuity is the kindest description we should give of his conduct. Yet this is what Jesus did. He told people that their sins were forgiven, and never waited to consult all the other people whom their sins had undoubtedly injured. He unhesitatingly behaved as if he was the party chiefly concerned, the person chiefly offended in all offences. This makes sense only if he really was the God whose laws are broken and whose love is wounded in every sin. In the mouth of any speaker who is not God, these words will imply what I can only regard as a silliness and conceit unrivaled by any other character in history. Yet, and this is the strange significant thing, even his enemies, when they read the Gospels, do not usually get the impression of silliness and conceit. Still less do unprejudiced readers. Christ says that he is humble and meek, and we believe him, not noticing that, if he were merely a man, humility and meekness are the very last characteristics we could attribute to some of his sayings. I'm trying here to prevent anyone saying the really foolish thing that people often say about him. I'm ready to accept Jesus as a great moral teacher, but I don't accept his claim to be God. That is the one thing we must not say. A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things that Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic, on a level with the man who says he is a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool. You can spit at him and kill him as a demon, and you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to. Whew, I think Lewis nailed it pretty well. We too are left with the same choice that Lewis posits. When confronted with Jesus and his claims, are we able to say with David, my Lord, or to say with Thomas, my Lord and my God? God bless you.